Hi, I'm Sean Fontaine. I'm a sleep scientist. Today we're going to be talking about sleep audio. Now, some people swear by white noise or the sound of a fan. Other people listen to sleep music or even spoken word. And there's an even bigger group that don't listen to anything at all. Now, from a scientific perspective, which of these is most correct? I'm going to go over the answer to this and finally leave you with some practical tips you can use to create the sound environment that'll get you to sleep faster tonight. Quick disclaimer. Sound is a great tool for regular, everyday sleep trouble. However, it will not fix more serious sleep problems like chronic insomnia, which we defined as frequent disrupted sleep over a period of 3 months or more. So if that's been happening to you, please instead check out our video on chronic insomnia. Now, let's get back to the video. Now, I'm sure I'll disappoint some of you off the bat by saying that between sleep music, spoken audio, white noise, brown noise, pink noise, ambient nature sounds, there's not one scientific clear winner for all situations. Now, this isn't because none of them work. Actually, all of them work. But which one works best depends entirely on you and specifically what's keeping you up. In my experience, people that use audio as a sleep aid are usually dealing with one or both of these two issues, which I like to call a noisy room or a noisy mind. Now, with a noisy room, the source of noise is external. So think cars on the road, doors slamming, noisy neighbors, or maybe even a partner or roommate snoring. With a noisy mind, on the other hand, the source of noise is internal. So think worrying, replaying conversations, planning out tomorrow, or stressing that you're not sleeping yet. Now, while you're lying awake in bed, this noise might all sound quite similar, but actually these are two very different problems requiring slightly different tools to fix. Let's start with the noisy room. Let's say you have a very quiet bedroom, maybe a sound level 1 or 2 out of 10. Then, outside, someone slams a car door, and that sound is at a 5 out of 10. Well, now you're awake. But let's say the same situation happens, but you're listening to some fan noises or some white noise. Well, now the base sound level of your bedroom is maybe at a 3 or 4 out of 10. And so when the car door slams, your body still hears it, but it doesn't stand out as much against the background, and so you stay asleep. I call this the sound shield. That's why if you live by traffic, if you have noisy neighbors, or if you're often exposed to unpredictable sounds at night, white noise, a fan, or ambient nature sounds are often your best bet. Now, in terms of what specific sounds are best for this, there's most famously white noise, which is a bright, steady hiss. We also have pink noise, which is a bit softer. And finally, we have brown noise, which uses deeper frequencies. Now, there are so many claims online saying one is better than the other, but there's actually no scientific evidence that any one is consistently better for all situations. So don't overthink this. I would actually just choose the one that you feel is most comfortable to listen to. Rain sounds and the noise of a fan are also great alternatives. Let's move on. We know that white noise, ambient nature sounds, or the sound of a fan are really good if you're dealing with a noisy room. But what if you're dealing with a noisy mind? For some people, as soon as the room becomes quiet, their attention has nowhere to go. So it instead turns inward to their own thoughts. What time is it? Am I feeling tired? Am I asleep yet? What do I have to do tomorrow? Why is my heart beating like that? If you've watched our other videos, you know that lying awake in bed thinking a bunch of thoughts is one of the most guaranteed ways not to sleep. So that's where sleep music or calming sleep audio comes in, by giving your mind something small to focus on. I call this audio wallpaper. And for a sec, I want you to think about real wallpaper. It's on your wall, it's nice to look at, but you don't go into a room and spend a bunch of time looking at the wallpaper. It's kind of just there. Now, good sleep audio works the same. It occupies enough attention to stop you from thinking those thoughts, worrying those worries, or asking all those questions, but at the same time doesn't occupy enough attention that it keeps you alert or awake. Just like real wallpaper, it's just there. And hopefully because of it, you feel calmer and more ready to sleep. But what specific music or sleep audio should you choose for a noisy mind? I would caution that you actually have to be quite careful here, because not all music or audio has that calming wallpaper effect. My simple rule, which I've written out, is to pick something that is familiar, not fascinating. Definitely pick something that you like, especially if that makes you more comfortable or relaxed. But don't pick something that you like so much that your brain becomes engaged and wants to listen all the way to the end. A good test to see if the audio is right for you is to check, When the sound or music pauses, do you continue to replay it in your mind? If the answer is yes, then congrats, you found a great piece of music or a great piece of audio to listen to later. But this is not sleep audio. So go ahead and swap it out for something less interesting. For me personally, one of my sleep audio sweet spots was actually this gardening radio show. For me, it was familiar enough to be somewhat enjoyable, but it was never interesting enough that I wanted to listen all the way to the end, especially because gardening is not even something I'm that passionate about. So that's me. You might have to do a bit of trial and error to find the kind of audio that falls into this sort of sweet spot for you, but it's definitely worth doing, especially if you tend to have a noisy mind at night. Okay, let's put all of this together into one simple decision that you can make tonight. If you're dealing with a noisy room with lots of external noise, then you want to find a sound that is steady, like the sound of a fan, the sound of rain, or white noise, to give yourself a sound shield. If, on the other hand, what you're dealing with is a noisy mind and the sound is internal, you want to find calm music or audio that is familiar enough to hold your attention a little bit, but not fascinating enough to keep you awake. And finally, if, unfortunately, you are dealing with some combination of both of these problems, then you want to find an audio that is steady enough to mask the noise, but again, mildly engaging enough to stop you from overthinking. Again, which specific audio works best for you depends on both what you're dealing with as well as your personal preferences. There are actually many good places online that you can find sleep audio, and you might know a couple already. But if this process feels overwhelming, or if you don't know where to start, we actually designed an app called Clozzz, which serves personalized sleep audio recommendations from a large library of lab-tested sleep sounds. And these are tuned for both your music and sound preferences, as well as your individual sleep struggles. So to recap, which sleep noise is truly the best? Is it white noise? Is it sleep music? Is it something else? Well, that depends on whether what you're dealing with is a noisy room or a noisy mind. If it's a noisy room, find a steady sound to use as a shield. If it's a noisy mind, find a calm or familiar sound to use as wallpaper. Pick the right sound for you, and you should be able to sleep just fine. Once again, I'm Sean Fontaine. I'm a sleep scientist. I really hope this video on sleep audio was helpful to you. And if it was, please like, comment, and subscribe. Wishing you a very good night's sleep.